disciplina y poniendo prioridades, las cuales los niños tienen que ir entendiendo. Y tú tienes que crear un ambiente en el cual este niño pueda entender lo que le está pasando. Mira, esto de la educación es un tema bastante largo y también quiero que los que están viendo el programa vean un pequeño clip para que se den cuenta de algo. Yo lo voy a traducir porque está en inglés. Esta es una persona que se llama Jessica Martínez. Ella vive en Bridgeport, Connecticut. Es una zona urbana como la es donde nosotros vivimos aquí en Boston. Así es de que vamos a ir a este clip que es más o menos de 4 minutos y cuando regresemos vamos a estar hablando de lo que es en realidad envolverse en la educación de nuestros hijos, ya que ponerlos en un bus y enviarlos a la escuela muchas veces no es suficiente. Quédese con concepto, regresamos ahora.
I have a mission. God put me on a path, and he gave me a purpose. I lost my job in 2008 in the mortgage industry, and I was working for corporate America. I did not know, as a parent of one, how involved I could be in the classroom. I lacked knowledge. I went on school trips, I went to his report card conferences, and I thought I was a wonderful parent. I did not know that my son was going to a failing school in Bridgeport. I knew that I was sending my son to school. I put him in preschool. I was reading to him when he was in the belly. I was reading to him when he was a baby. I did all that I was supposed to do, so I thought. And then I found myself unemployed, which was the biggest blessing in my life because I did not know what to do with myself. And I linked up with other parents who said, go spend some time in your child's classroom. I did not realize how difficult it was for my son's teacher to teach a class of 27. I did not realize that you had kids of all different levels of education in one classroom, and my son was lacking attention and education. I did not realize that there was a lack in the school, and the principal really, truly didn't care. Not all principals, but this particular one. So I said, oh no, no. Not my city, not my son, not my children, not these children. I have to do something about it. And I just became active. I surrounded myself with parents who knew more than me. And as I said, this has been the biggest blessing in my life because God has set me on a different path. And my mission in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and across Connecticut is to engage, educate, and activate my neighbors. Because you see, the system will keep us oppressed. But we shouldn't blame the system anymore because we know better. So it is up to us to change the system. It is up to us to educate our neighbor, right? My neighbor doesn't know anything. It's generational from generational. Generational curses, generational welfare, generational project recipient, Section 8 recipient. Well, it's okay. It's a need for a moment. But we need to help our people get out of that need. Because I can pick up and move out of Bridgeport today. I have the means to, you have the means to, we all can do that. But, jobs isn't gonna make a difference without education, right? Jobs isn't gonna make a difference without knowledge. If our children aren't competitive in this world, then they're not getting anywhere. And at the moment, they're not getting a competitive education. So I say to you, tap on your neighbor. I say to you, you have access to huge congregations, parents, grandparents, foster parents, whatever it is, pastors, reverends. You guys have access to people. It is up to us to get up and activate and mobilize and educate. So in very details, speak at Board of Education meetings. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I can go and actually hear what was going on. And in Bridgeport, it's a sad state. It's a very dysfunctional Board of Ed. That is why I'm stepping up and I'm running. I don't want to, trust me, but I need to. It's my purpose. It's my calling. So at the end of the day, it is up to us to go to city council meetings, make sure that they're releasing the minimum budget requirement that the city is supposed to release. It is up to us to link up with our leaders. And let me tell you something. I thank God that Chris Rosario is my state senator, is my state rep. Oh, am I claiming something?
Yeah, you just got a promotion.
Am I claiming something? Is my state rep. He's amazing, and he's a man of integrity. He goes out there, and he listens to us, and he links up with us. It doesn't take much to sit down with any one of these individuals. Politics is politics. It is what it is, and sometimes it's a dark, evil game. But at the end of the day, if Chris doesn't know what I need, then he can't advocate for me in Hartford. So you can't blame Chris, right? You have to link up with Chris and say, Chris, here is what we need. Here is what we need to fight for. So we need to give the benefit of the doubt to our leaders, but we also do need better leaders, so step up. But that's basically it.
Okay, we're here at the Roxbury Studios Boston Neighborhood Network. My name is Rodolfo Aguilar. I'm the host of Concepto. Today we're talking about education. You just saw Jessica Martinez, very inspirational speech that she gave about education. And you heard what she said just now. She said that she thought that she was doing the right thing by putting her kid in a bus, taking him to school, and making, the house, her house, a place where her kid felt safe. What she didn't understand and didn't know is that she was sending her child to a failing school. Doesn't that sound familiar in the Boston area, specifically in the Boston Public District schools nowadays, that a lot of the schools are in level 3, 4, and 5? That's alarming. That's something that the administration should be looking with a sense of urgency to try to revamp the curriculum in the classroom so that our kids could be challenged academically, so that they can excel and actually be prepared for the jobs of the future. You heard, without an education, there is no future for our community. So we get stuck in this vicious cycle of subsidies. And as she mentioned, it is all right to have subsidies, Section 8, food stamps, for a moment to do the transition. But, we have to break that cycle. Today in the studios, I have Dora. She is an educator here in Boston. She has a daycare. The name of the daycare is Bright Beginners. We were talking in Spanish at the beginning of the program, and we were talking about specifically the early intervention in education. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Rodolfo. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's go over some of the things that we were talking about during earlier in the program when we talk about in Spanish, and the type of things that you do in your program. Specifically, the issue about working in collaboration with the parents. You told me that just recently you are evaluating your kids who are from 6 months to 5 years old, and you present to the kids a work plan. Talk to me about the work plan that you do with, you were mentioning. Please explain.
Okay, well, first of all, what I do is like every beginning of the week, I have to create a curriculum according to the needs of each child. Because everybody has different needs. What I do is I do like an evaluation of every child and I see what the needs are. And I have to create a curriculum according to what they need. And at the end of the week, I have to go and check and see if my object was completely. And I try to help the child if they need help in any other areas of any of the objects that I have for them. And I try to involve the parents, encourage parents. That is very important that they can be working together with the teachers. Because I just saw the video that the lady said, it's not just the teacher's work. It's both, combination of parents, because I don't know what your needs are.
Actually, what she said is that it takes pretty much it takes a village to raise a kid.
And sometimes as a parents, we think that's because you provide food on the table, you make the child get ready to school and make their bed and teach like a couple of things. We think that we are cover every need that the child needs.
That it is the job of the teacher alone to make sure that they fulfill those tasks. Like as you were saying, you have a work plan. And if a teacher comes to the parent has to work in collaboration.
Exactly.
Because if we don't work in collaboration, then that's the recipe for failure.
No, the other thing is it sounds funny, but sometimes the teacher knows better your child than your own parent. And it's sad when the teacher tells the parents, do you notice this about your child? And sometimes the parents are like, what are you thinking? What are you trying to tell me? And it's because the child is more time with the teachers, is spending time with the parents just like a couple hours, and sometimes they don't take advantage of the time, and they just let the child play. It's not just let the child play, it's like a try to encourage the children's what their needs are, how you're going to help your child to succeed in life. Because if you don't start at the early age, like I say, like for example, I work with early childhood, like, from 3 months to 5 years old. That's the basic time that you need to start since that time. Because everybody thinks that, oh, they are so little, they don't know, or they don't need my time, they don't need my attention. They do. They need your attention in order for them to have a routine, because the routine is very important in life. If you don't have a routine in your life, you are not going to have like a successful life.
It's ironic to say that there's a lot of passionate teachers out there that are challenging our kids to succeed academically, but that's not happening in every single classroom. Specifically, I want to bring it to Boston, and specifically in the inner cities and the urban areas where minority people of color live. Like Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, Rosendale. We go to Lowell, Lawrence, Fall River, and we see that in these neighborhoods where minority people are living, those are the schools where there's a lot of needs because the schools are failing to basically teach the kids. And sometimes it's not just about putting everything on the teacher, but sometimes we've seen that sometimes teachers are not passionate about teaching our kids, and at some point they give up on our kids, and that's a recipe for failure, and like some people say, the pipeline to prisons. And we see a lot of our young kids in Massachusetts, a lot of Latino kids dropping out of high school because by the time they reach 16 years old, they see school as a joke. Sometimes kids just go in, check in, and they walk out. They don't even go to the classes. And by the time the parents find out, 3 months have gone by.
Yeah, but my question is, Rodolfo, where the parents are? Where are those parents that they see that the children? You as a parents need to know what your child is doing, how your child is doing at home. It's not only going to school, because it's not just the job of the teacher to prepare your child. Do you know why the system is like how the system is? Because it's not involucration. The parents are not involved.
Actually, parents are involved. And
now, they are involving more
We're
now.
getting parents involved because we need to change the system. Jessica Martinez said it. We need to empower our neighbor. We need to empower people in our community, parents in our community, to let them know, listen, do you know that you're sending your kid to a failing school? That by the time your kid reaches 6th grade, he's reading at a 2nd or 3rd grade level. I mean, parents need to know this, and they need to wake up, because this is something that we need to take action, and action with a sense of urgency. The system is so broken right now that I'm going to be, unfortunately, a person who has taken action on this, a lady by the name of Carrie Rodriguez. I'm going to get her on the phone soon, okay? But this lady specifically got involved in making Massachusetts Parents United, because she feels that we need to start talking about this. So we're going to try to get her on the phone right now, but I'm going to switch back to Spanish right now, okay? So I wanted to give you an insight on this. And as I have Dora here today, who's an educator in an early childhood, basically there are a couple of things that I want to say. A couple of things that strike me is that Boston Public Schools know that there's a high rate of young women and men who are leaving high school, not completing their high school diploma. And the other day I tried to help a young man, and I found out a lot of red tape. Like once they drop out of high school, they don't at Dudley Square, I'm sorry, I have to call it out, they did not have a plan to help these kids. They give you a phone number to call because there is no longer their headache. This kid was sitting in the classroom like 2-3 months ago, and now they're trying to integrate back into education because guess what? They found out that if they don't have an education, they're going to get a really lousy job, a mediocre job, and they're not really happy about it. So they think, I'm going to get back to school. But when they find all this red tape, they give up again. And there's some of the things that we need to change in the educational system, and we need to start talking with administrators. Your point is valid. There's some parents that are not getting involved in their kids' education, and specifically, this program is out to you. If you're listening to this program and you live in the areas of Roxbury, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, Rosendale, there is a website in Massachusetts in which you can look up your school, and you can just Google the name of the school that your kid is going, and you can just look at what the school level is. And if your kid is not going to a school